Morning. It is Ann Metcalf here with our Sunday morning chat. Conscious eating, conscious living, March 31st, 2024. Today's little chat is on intermittent movement, and it's not exercise. So, for those of you who are resistant to exercising, this may help your longevity. So let's have a listen. And I found this information this morning. I came across it was from Dr. Mercola's site, originally written in 2017. And it was an interview he did with Joan Vernikos, PhD. And Joan spent many years at NASA, starting in 1964, including 7 years as the director of space life sciences, and has written 2 books, Sitting Kills Moving Heals and Designed to Move, the science-backed program to fight sitting disease and enjoy lifelong health. 3 key points that Dr. Mercola points out. Intermittent low intensity but high frequency movement is a powerful and inexpensive, highly effective strategy for health and longevity. Without gravity, your vestibular system begins to deteriorate. Hence, astronauts lose spatial awareness, and inactivity mimics low gravity situations. So inactivity will increase your risk of poor balance and the possibility of falling. Standing up for 15 minutes every 2 hours effectively counteracts the ill effects of sitting. Other data suggest standing up once for a minute or 2 every 20 to 30 minutes is a good countermeasure. My first question was, well, what is the vestibular system? Well, it provides a sense of balance and information about the body position that allows rapid compensatory movements in response to both self-induced and externally generated forces, and is found inside the inner ear and includes 3 semicircular canals and 2 otolith organs. How do I reset my vestibular system? Turning side to side. Turn your head at sort of like this, and you start slow and then go faster, and that will help. You don't want to strain your neck when you do that. So obviously any pain, don't do it or go very slow. And you do that about 10 times, wait 30 seconds, and then repeat 2 more times. And so that's something that you might want to try. And also with the ageless grace, what Denise Medved was saying in some of the exercises that we do with the ageless grace, which is on my app and website, is that movement and the no, 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 and the yes, yes, yes is actually helping keep that fluid in your ear more liquid than viscous, because when it starts thickening up, again, that affects your balance. And did you know that John Glenn was the first American astronaut to do an orbital flight and a U.S. senator? He died in 2016 at the age of 95, yet he made headlines when he flew back into space at the age of 77. Vernikos was instrumental in helping him get back into space. They didn't want anything to happen to their hero. And on his return, he was in the healthy cluster of astronauts after their recovery testing. And the message came back loud and clear. If you are healthy, you are fit, and you take care of yourself, there's no reason you can't do anything that anyone else can do, whatever your age. On Earth, you lose about 1% of your bone mass per year, starting at the age of 20. Astronauts, on the other hand, will lose about 5% of their bone mass. And one astronaut, I think after 9 months, lost 30% of his bone mass. And that's why astronauts spend 2 and 4 hours exercising each day. And when you exercise on Earth, you've got gravity to work against, but actually for you. And the minute you stop, the response does not just cut off, the response continues over a period of time. And this after response to exercise is very valuable. And the key to optimum health is continuous, intermittent, low intensity, but high frequency movement during waking hours. Vernikos also added how important that proper diet leads to fewer health problems. Space research also reveals that without gravity, the vestibular system and the brain maps that tell you where you are relative to your environment begins to deteriorate. With inactivity mimicking microgravity for us humans on Earth, inactivity worsens your spatial awareness, thereby increasing your risk of losing your balance and falling. The good news is you can reacquire this function. More about the vestibular function. It also influences biological functions, such as your blood pressure. Your bone loss and muscle atrophy can also be related to a dysfunctioning vestibular system. Vernikos believes the best way to stimulate your vestibular system is with postural changes. In other words, physical movement. And she explains, movement is the most basic stimulus that we experience many, many times a day, or should. It involves a signal that is perceived by the vestibular system, which then regulates blood pressure. As you stand up, if you've been exposed to space, or if you've been sitting too long, or if you've been bedridden, you will have the tendency to faint. You will also have a low blood pressure or a sudden drop in blood pressure. In other words, if you interrupt sitting reasonably frequently, you're less likely to experience the adverse effects of prolonged sitting, which include a heightened risk of cardiovascular problems, stroke, and cancer, especially colorectal, gastrointestinal, ovarian, and prostate cancers. Diabetes, obesity, depression, and a reduction in cognitive reactions in children are also associated with excessive uninterrupted sitting. And we think about all these, students and children when they go home and sitting at their desktop playing with their devices or glued to the TV, and how important it is for them to get up and get going. I feel there is a circulation component with sitting, a collusion aspect that contributes and makes things worse all around, according to Vernikos. While it's unclear whether merely standing up might impart these same metabolic benefits, what is known is that within as little as 30 minutes of sitting, triglyceride levels increase, often related to diabetes. That's a significant response. The intermittent standing signal is just that. It's a signal. It's a tuning mechanism. If spread out throughout the day, that is terribly important. For sitting, I would recommend standing 32 to 36 times a day. Vernikos says that she doesn't sit more than a half an hour a day. It's a very active person. Following a study Joan did, it was a double-blind one, her statistician said, "Joan, you're not going to like these results. Standing was more effective than exercise on the treadmill in preventing the changes induced by the continuous inactivity of bed rest." Importantly, Vernikos' experiments suggest even the elderly can regain mobility and independence simply by standing up for a short time every half hour or so. And coming from a nursing background and us putting these, especially medical and the surgical floor, we would put the patients in the chair and they would sit for an hour or two, and then we would get them back to bed for lunch or sit them longer for lunch in their chair, not realizing how important it would have been for them, for their recovery, to go home, to gain that independence by having them stand up, to stand up and having them stretch their hands and wiggle their toes and fingers and then sit down again. It would have made a big difference. Even those who are wheelchair bound can benefit from standing using one of those stand-up, it's called a stand-up capable chair. And there's a number of them on the market, allowing you to raise yourself up to a standing position, provided you have use of your arms. And the take-home message is that for optimum health, you want to stay in more or less continuous motion during waking hours. I challenge you. The good news is that there are virtually unlimited opportunities for movement throughout the day. And it doesn't have to be anything special. House cleaning, think about all the movement you're doing. Stirring a pot of sauce, you're standing. Rolling dough, you've got your arms moving. Gardening, hanging clothes to dry, or bending over to pick up an errant sock. They all count. Walking a dog is another great one. Or having a rebounder and bouncing on that, and having it in a place where you can just step on it after you've been working at your computer at home, and just stand on your rebounder for a minute and then go back to work. For you at your desk, office workers, standing and shifting your posture to and fro. Just stand up. And a bare minimum, you'll want to interrupt your sitting every 20 to 30 minutes, even if it's just to stand up for a moment and sit back down again. To learn more, pick up a copy of Vernikos' book, Designed to Move, the science-backed program to fight sitting disease and enjoy lifelong health. In it, she provides desk-bound professionals a practical, easy-to-follow movement plan to fight debilitating effects of uninterrupted sitting. All right, so have a wonderful day. I challenge you, especially you people at your computers, and I am one of those when I'm not doing my teacher on call, substitute teaching with the classes that I have, and I think most teachers are moving all day long. And it's another good reason to give those mind breaks every 20 minutes. And it doesn't have to be outside running around the field. And just stand up and just standing in one spot and waving your hands, doing all sorts of things, and then going back down. And you'll probably end up with probably more focused kids, and they will be healthier in the long run, thanks to you. So have a wonderful, wonderful day. Any questions, you can email me at rosiesjoy11@gmail.com. And also check my app, Authentic Sacred Design. It's also on my website. So have a beautiful day. Enjoy this beautiful Easter Sunday. Blessings to all of you. Blessings of love, abundance, health, and you are in control. You are the ones to make a difference in your life. So go forth and move. Have a wonderful day, everyone.